see, they wanted everybody out that way. And I was the furthest away. I had to walk to town to the cultural center, was our school there.
Oh, that's right, because you weren't at...
The rest of them were out there at the high school.
At the high school.
They won't count when you been there.
No, but that's all right.
They hire you at the last moment.
Yes, I came with Margaret when she was moving over to the apartment, and she and Mr. Brookshire said, "Why don't you come?" Said, "We got an opening for first grade teacher." Said, "Why don't you come?" And I said, "First grade? No." I was teaching sixth at the time. For half of a year, I had come home from West Georgia at Christmas, and they needed a sixth grade teacher, so I stayed. But anyway, what was I telling? Oh, Mr. Brookshire. And so I said, no, I couldn't do that. So he said, we've got to have one. School was going to start in 2 weeks. Well, the next week, I came back with Margaret, bringing another load of her junk over. And he said, I still can't get a first grade teacher. Said, will you help me out? So I took the first grade, and that's how I stayed.
Well, with your degree, were you not specified for a certain grade range, or was it just a teacher you could teach any
I
of
could
them?
teach any. Well, I could teach from first through about sixth, something like that.
Okay.
But this was first grade. That was a little too much, but I loved it. I think it's the best year I ever had. I really
With the
enjoyed
first
that.
grade. Margaret told a story that you had a terrible fifth grade class maybe one year. It might have been a sixth grade class, and you said you were ready to go back down to the younger children where you could teach them how to behave.
Well, let me tell you what it was. That when I came home at Christmas, I helped out with that sixth grade class. But there was about 40 in the class. The desks were right up to each other. You couldn't walk up and down. You had to go around the outsides. You couldn't walk up and down the aisles. And I said, never again would I do that. But it was a good year too. We had spelling bees. We did arithmetic games. They were so behind, that class was. I think what had happened, they had been overloaded all the time, and nobody could get to every child. And we did everything was in games like, and we had a grand year. I don't know whether they ever learned anything, but I think they did. But they were lots of.
What about you, Bill Cocker?
Yes.
You know he died.
Little Bill Cocker.
Yes, I heard about that. Yes, I did.
Eaten up with cancer.
So did y'all have a set curriculum you were supposed to teach, or did they just let you say you have to teach these things?
We had textbooks, and we just taught the textbooks. We didn't do any planning ahead of time. And they had already run off that first teacher the first before Christmas time. She just couldn't handle it. So I see, I didn't know all this when I said I would do it. But then when I went in there and there were all these children, I said, oh Lord, what will I do with them? But I got busy in a hurry.
Well, now, when was it that you ended up with the boys coming back from the service in your class?
Well, the next year, I taught English in 8th, 10th, and 11th. And 11th, they don't have 11 grades then. And they had 2 boys I know, and maybe 3 that had been in the service and came back. I don't know, I came out. I don't know how they got drafted if the war was almost over. Did they still keep drafting in? With the war almost over, did they keep drafting boys? Or did they stop drafting and just worked with the ones they had?
So the one that ain't did the service, now you ain't doing the service, what they call it, peacetime. You have to keep boys all that, well, they count too.
So when y'all got married, did y'all go on a honeymoon?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that. Where'd y'all go?
Well, we went to New Orleans. I had almost forgotten. Been to New Orleans, and my daddy was living not far from there, and he and his wife came and ate supper with us one night while we were there. I don't know how we must have had a telephone number or something. He didn't come to the wedding. He couldn't get away, so.
Who gave you away, Mom?
My uncle from Uncle Aunt Elsie's husband from Birmingham, Bessemer. And he was a dear old fellow. They had no children, and they'd always been good to Mom and me. So Mama insisted so it didn't matter to me.
What about that? So y'all went down to New Orleans and got to see that. How'd y'all choose New Orleans?
Why did we decide on New Orleans? Do you remember, for a honeymoon?
Oh no, so I went by and said my old classmate.
Yeah, he had somebody he had been in school with at Gordon, and so we went by and just went just sightseeing. We had never been anywhere like. I don't know. There was an attraction there at the time, but I can't remember what it was.
Well,
They had all the music there.
we had rights in a place like that. We took the tour that day. And the couple that sat in that tour, she wanted to go out with him that night.
Did we go?
No, we didn't go.
I can't remember that.
They had the streetcars were running when y'all were there.
Huh?
The streetcars.
Did they have streetcars
I
running?
don't know.
I
There
don't
was
believe
two
so.
bus we were on.
That was one of those places where I felt like I'd seen it once. That was all I really needed to see.
Well, we've never been back. A lot of people go back to their old place.
The
We've
architecture
never-
was nice. A lot of nice old churches.
But one time.
That one time was all I needed to see.
Yeah, a lot of places we've been, and just one time is all I care about. Not many I'd want to go back to.
So tell me what it was like after you had married Joe. That was a rude awakening, wasn't it?
She was even looking around at the
hardest thing
hospital.
I ever carried. You couldn't hardly carry. She was
She
pushing.
wasn't but a day or two
Both
old.
feet here, pushing out.
And
That's
they,
why you had to buy that carriage.
yeah, and they would bring, while you know how they show the babies at night.
In the hospital.
And they bring the baby, you know, and stand in front of the window for everybody to see. And she was looking around, taking it all in. You can just see her.
No, she was pushing on you all the time. You trying to carry her.
Trying to get free, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was ready to start running then.
So what was that like, having your first child?
Well, it was a rude awakening, believe me. It was an all-time thing. And we used to go out. He was cleaning up, getting ready to farm. And we'd go out with him, and I'd put her down on a cushion or something, you know, so the bugs wouldn't get her. And she was happy as a lark. She was a pretty good baby, But the favorite thing was she'd get up, once she learned to get out of the bed, she'd get up in the middle between us and she'd say, "Here we all are."
Just like she liked it. A whole lot of people. Yeah, we all
just
are.
like, I've never seen anybody like her in my life. Oh,
That sounds just like her now. Here we all are.
Mhm. That's her philosophy.
That's funny. So, when did you go to work for the State Highway Department, Daddy?
1955.
55. That's before, I was after Sally and before I was born.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I graduated from the university, I think in the summer of 54, and you were born in 55.
No, I was born in 58.
Oh, were you? Well, and then I was.
Sally was born in 54.
All right, then 57 was when I graduated over there. I had to go back to school. They required to put in new rules and regulation. Everybody who didn't have a degree. See, I was teaching without a degree.
Like a teaching certificate.
That's right. And so I had to go back, but I didn't have to go 2 summers, I believe, to finish. I had done everything else.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So then you went to, so when Mary Jo was born, were you teaching?
Yeah.
And you went out to California for about a year and you came back here
Mm-hmm.
and you were teaching school?
Teaching again when, I must have skipped a year or 2 because Andy was born pretty soon after we got back in California in June of, 52.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't teach that year. And then I taught then I
about 51.
Then I went back. I went back to school and been gone 1 year. And Sally was born.
So you were trying to go back to school earlier and you just
Every time I go back for a year, I hope to have another baby. But we finally had you, and that was a year Mary just started. Oh no, she must have been 2nd grade. And
Yes, she'd been 8.
Joel Norton and all of them were in my class. So, and I never will forget Addie Norton said, "Oh, I'm so glad that you have a baby." Said, "Can I borrow your maternity clothes?" That was when Nancy was born.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, because she's a year younger, I think, than I am. Nancy.
So when you finally came back after Mama was born and started teaching, you were teaching 1st grade again?
I kind of think so. Or maybe I just taught 2nd from then on. Maybe it was just 2nd.
No, you started first. You
Did I
did teach 2nd grade 1 year. But then you went back to the 1st grade.
So when did y'all build this house of your daddy?
Hmm?
When did you build this house?
After you were born, Big Jim.
1952?
Big Jim decided that he had all the children he could take care of over there. So he helped push this idea.
We built the house and moved in on Christmas Day.
Wow. On Christmas Day.
Well, I think we'd been in maybe bringing things over and everything. Maybe the bed just came on in then.
Was Uncle Bill already living down there? No. So y'all were the first house aside from their house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
And we've added on twice. We after you came, we added this room, and then
later did your bedroom.
we added on to the kitchen and that room.
Right there.
And the carport.
Yeah.
Well.
But it's been a good life. I wouldn't have swapped it for any other. We've had some moments, but but we overcame them.
That's right.
And y'all been happy here. This is such a nice place.
Well, it is. I was hoping maybe you'd be the recipient, and if I live long enough, you probably will.
Have that on tape.
It's like Mary Jo says, everybody knows Amy wants it.
I know.
Well, I tell you, the one thing I remember about the most is that y'all always did work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Well-
worked hard, and you. I like the story. I remember you telling me one time, talking about one of the things you liked about Daddy, and you liked the country life and everything. And I said, well, we were talking about how this is all you ever really wanted, was to just be out in the country and have your own place.
Mm-hmm.
and be able to work on your own property. And I thought that was a neat story, that this was what you wanted.
It was.
Find out. Your mama move
When I was growing
till
up.
she married. She ain't moved since she married.
Well, that's what she said she always wanted. I think I asked her one time, what did you what were your dreams, or what did you ever really want out of life? And she'd said just exactly what I had right here, have my own place, my own home,
Yeah.
yard, land, garden, flowers.
Yeah.
She probably didn't.
Yeah, I ain't know how it gone though.
Yeah, it's sort of sad.
That over here, no, my plan was for it over with.
Well, I saw your tomatoes out back. You just kind of add on to that and make a big plot back there.
Yeah, we got to do some plowing back in there. That's the only thing that is sad right now, is the fact that we can't use the chainsaw to get our wood, which we always enjoyed doing, and we can't, the gardening. That's a little hard now, but other than those two things, it's still okay.
Because y'all certainly had a garden as long as I can remember.
We did. We always had one. Well, Big Jim and them went to Florida the first year we were married. They always went in March, and we decided we'd make a garden. And Tom was a black fellow that lived on the place, and he's shaking his head. I don't think he thought we ought to try to plant a garden unless Big Jim thought it was okay. But we went on, and I think we had it planted when he got back, didn't we, Andrew?
We had a big garden.
Oh, it was a big garden. Probably the best garden we ever had.
Yes.
Where was it? Over
Your
at Big
sister,
Jim's?
Margaret come down here. Thought she got through picking. She don't know what she ever came back. Nah.
So where was Big Jim? He was working.
No,
They went to Florida.
Oh, they went to
They
Florida.
went to Florida today. That was the grandmother's
Grandma's birthday.
birthday, and they
So Tom
all
didn't think y'all should plant that garden, huh? Unless Big Jim knew it.
Yeah, he was afraid Big Jim wouldn't like it. us
So
planting
what did he
garden.
say when he got back?
He was pleased, I think,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
He. But I think
We
he was
had
more
gone that
pleased
yet.
when we got
No,
over
but we
here.
had squash and beans. We had one that year.
Hey, we planted everything.
Well, I'm sure you were more pleased when you got moved over here too.
Yes, yes.
I mean, you have your own place. and-
Yeah, and I knew the children were not bothering anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
And I don't know whether you were here or not, but I know the other three were. We were out playing out there. I think Mama had bought that swing set for y'all. And
I remember.
so they were out swinging and everything, and this man came up. And I never thought about being afraid or anything. And he was selling pecan trees. And we were poor as Job's turkey. And there he was selling, and I bought 3 pecan trees. Well, after he was going to deliver them the next week. He even helped me plant them. But he was
Those
so
3?
The 3 that are right.
You bought them by free out there.
Well, was it?
Yeah. And he helped you plant all.
Anyway, he came back the next week with them. But I thought after he left, I said, "What am I going to do? How am I going to tell Andrew we might not have supper, but we're going to have some pecan trees?" So he came that next week and helped me plant them, and that's those 3 largest.
And what did Daddy say about those pecan trees?
Well, I can't remember. I don't think he got too unhappy. I don't remember. Because I think Mama ended up giving me the money, but because she couldn't stand, and she loved it too. See, she liked it out here. And I remember when she would get off the bus. That she came so often. The bus driver knew she got off down at the bottom of the hill, and she got off, and y'all had carried the little wagon down there to carry her suitcase, and they were standing there when the bus came. Aww. And then pulled the suitcase up the hill. Oh, She did love, let me tell you one thing, she loved y'all. And she may not have loved anybody else, but she loved y'all. Oh, goodness.
Y'all too much.